how this might not be a card that the New World Order might use when they see themselves getting in more trouble to start.
No, I think that is a danger, and I appreciate your call, Nick, because real issues can be captured and used and have been used throughout history. And there have been problems throughout history with nation states and countries being dominated by outside interest. I mean, that's why we had 1775 and 1776. The 13 colonies had really become their own autonomous system governing themselves. They'd become very wealthy, and they didn't want the foreign government 4,000 miles away running their life. And when the government was giving more rights to pure British citizens that were coming here to rule them than they were to the people in the colonies, they said, we're not putting up with this. People don't like foreign domination. Just like the Iraqis don't like us being there now for many years, 7+ years. Just like the Afghans don't like us being there after 8 years. They don't like empires. They don't like being dominated. But then what happened with Germany is they used a whole bunch of things, the Versailles Treaty and what had happened in World War I and the fact that they had to pay all these war reparations. They used that to get in control, and then they tried to set up their own empire and invade the planet. I am not for invading the planet. I am not for any of these wars. I'm against invading Iran. I'm against launching a nuclear war against Iran. So I appreciate your call. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through a news blitz as quickly as I can when we get back after this quick break. And one of the other subjects I want to get into, obviously, is what's happening with the economy and who the real government is. Oh, it's an illegitimate government, but it's the government. This private, hostile, corporate takeover we've had here in America. You know, you go back to a year ago when I released the Obama deception, we talked about how the banks were going to call for even more taxes and environmental taxes and planned austerity. Well, now the IMF and others are saying, look, you're never getting your standard of living back. NAFTA and GATT has been implemented, and now you're serfs. We own your butt. We'll be right back.
We're on the march. The empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
Hi, this is Alex Jones. Did you know that the global elite are now storing non-hybrid seeds in secret storage vaults near the Arctic Circle? Did you know that in a real meltdown, non-hybrid seeds can become more valuable than silver or gold? It's true, seeds have outperformed even gold and silver before in this country, and it's possible that could even happen again. So our friends at Solutions from Science have put together the perfect mix of non-hybrid seeds. They call it a survival seed bank, and it can produce an endless supply of nutrient-dense food for you and your family. And here's the best part. These seeds have not been genetically modified in any way, and you actually get enough seeds to plant a full-acre crisis garden. So visit them today at survivalseedbank.com. That's survivalseedbank.com, or give them a call at 877-327-0365. That's 877-327-0365. Remember, in a real crisis, non-hybrid seeds are the ultimate barter item. This is Alex Jones for survivalseedbank.com. Hi, folks, this is Alex Jones, and I want to tell you about the Silver Lungs Generator. Now you can produce pure and endless colloidal silver and deliver the solution directly into the bloodstream by breathing the solution through the lungs. The respiratory system is the first line of defense for airborne pathogens and viruses. The Silver Lungs Generator infuses the respiratory system with your self-produced nanosilver solutions and also delivers the silver nanoparticles instantly into the bloodstream. With continued legislation threatening the sale of nanosilver products, you can now produce pure and endless colloidal silver with the Silver Lungs Generator. Very easy to follow, step-by-step instructions are provided, making production fast and simple. Go to www.silverlungs.com today and learn more about the breakthrough technology of the Silver Lungs Generator. That's www.silverlungs.com.
Everyone, Andy Anderson here. Are you using those little bottles of hand gel that kill germs, bacteria, and other nasties? In today's world, that's smart, especially with the filthy doorknobs, shopping carts, and handrails we touch every day. Did you know that once the alcohol evaporates in a few seconds, goodbye effectiveness. No more protection till you use it again. PureWorks to the rescue. Our FDA-compliant foam, lotion, soap, and spray do not contain alcohol. Their killing power lasts up to 4 hours. PureWorks disinfecting spray is EPA certified to kill swine flu, bird flu, MRSA, HIV, hepatitis B and C, and for our friends in medicine, kills C. diff, along with a whole host of viruses and bacteria, molds and fungus too. It's even safe around pets and children. You'll love how your skin feels with PureWorks, soft and supple. No more dry skin. Here's to a little peace of mind knowing that your hands are still germ-free hours later. Call now, toll-free, 888-245-0300 to get your hands on PureWorks and get PureWorks on your hands. That's 888-245-0300.
Okay, so we've got Barack Obama, Gordon Brown, the G20, Herman von Rompuy, head of the EU, saying 2009, 2010, the year of global government. And we've got the Southern Poverty Law Center, the ADL, the mainstream media saying global government doesn't exist, but next, the world government and how it's going to save you. And, of course, back at the time, we detailed how Goldman Sachs, J.P. Morgan Chase, and others had engineered the financial collapse. They make money on the way up. They make money on the bailout on the way down. And now the internal Goldman Sachs memos and emails are out there, how they bet against the stock market, bet against the housing market while telling their investors to invest in it and getting it certified as AAA rated when they knew it was worthless, absolute trash derivatives. Now, who's the number one contributor to the state governments in lobbying and to the federal government? The top 10 banks. That's your real government. You can put Republicans back into power this year, next year. It's only going to continue. And then you put the Democrats back in power, and the corruption's going to continue until we fundamentally go after the big offshore banks that, out of nothing, literally out of fiat. And I want to read again what I read at the start of the show today, what Thomas Jefferson said about this. This is what our country started a revolution over. There were many reasons, but this was the main reason. This is what Andrew Jackson fought against. This is what, to a great extent, even Lincoln fought against, creating his own U.S. currency. This is what Kennedy called for and then was assassinated. The government issuing its own currency and credit, empowering the people, not making currency and credit the god from which the banks can buy up the entire nation. You know, many founding fathers made the point, and so did European scholars, that if you took all the bankers' power today, they would have it back tomorrow if you let them create currency and credit. They would just give themselves a blank check. For every dollar you put in a bank, they can have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars they loan out to people. It's all made up. And so with these so-called banking reform bills, what's really going on, and I was heartened to see last week that the big Texas Banking Association president came out and said, this is select mega banks coming in to take over regional and healthy state banks and local banks. And this is a value-added tax on all financial transactions to be paid to a select inner group of banks that dominate the major governments of Europe and the United States and who also dominate the regulatory positions of power. I mean, look at Goldman Sachs alone. Presidents and prime ministers all over the world are former Goldman Sachs. Scores of finance ministers are former Goldman Sachs. The Fed chairman, the former New York Fed head, the former Treasury head, the current Treasury head, Goldman Sachs, Goldman Sachs, Goldman Sachs, Goldman Sachs. They are the foxes guarding the hen house. And all of their reforms are just giving themselves more bailouts and more power. And they're ruthless. They're going for everything. They must be brought to justice. That's the number one enemy. Now, what did Thomas Jefferson say? The Southern Poverty Law Center would call him a terrorist enemy of America. No, he's one of our former presidents. He's one of the founders of this country. They can call it a conspiracy theory that Thomas Jefferson existed. He did exist. I'll tell Nightline this. Thomas Jefferson did exist, and he did say this about the banks, and he wasn't evil. He wasn't a terrorist. Thomas Jefferson is not bad. He was a good American. The central bank is an institution of the most deadly hostility existing against the principles and form of our Constitution. I am an enemy to all banks discounting bills or notes for anything but coin. If the American people allow private banks to control the issuance of their currency, first by inflation and then by deflation, the banks and corporations that will grow up around them will deprive the people of all their property until their children will wake up homeless on the continent their fathers conquered. Thomas Jefferson, that's just one of many quotes he said about the private banking cartel. In fact, print me that other quote earlier. I didn't have that. Now, I want to just boil this down for people. You have a choice. Those